up, people? LP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. It's been a long time. I haven't seen y'all guys since last year. Yes. And you know what? I figured if I'm going to come back in 2020, the first video of 2020, we might as well start off this year with an awesome bang. And you've seen the title, you've seen the pre-title credits, you already know what we're covering here. So let's get right into this X Plus awesome review. And today we're taking a look at the X Plus 30cm 1964 Godzilla Ric Exclusive Edition, based off his iconic appearance in the most iconic Godzilla film of all time, my favorite Godzilla film of all time, 1964's Mothra vs. Godzilla, also known as Godzilla vs. the Thing. Woo! Oh my God, this thing is so awesome. Yes. You know, we do things right here. Let's get into the box before we get into the figure. And this is the box. Basically, Godzilla's name, 1964 Godzilla, Ric Exclusive Edition or Ric Exclusive version. And that's pretty much it with the box. There's no artwork on it. There's no picture of the figure or anything like that, because this was a Ric Exclusive Edition. And this figure came out in 2013. So it's going on, what, 7 years? Almost 7 years old. It came out in June of 2013. And you're probably wondering what, you know, you're probably thinking the burning $64 million question, pun intended. Why has it taken me so long to get to this figure? And there's a couple of reasons that kind of play into that. First off, with the backstory with this figure, S Plus made a 30cm Godzilla 1964 figure, this exact same figure. They first brought it out in 2010. The Ric option for that figure, it came with an alternate jaw piece where you can, you know, exchange the mouths, where you can have them in a roaring pose or you can have them in a closed mouth pose, right? Then they decided to reissue this guy, which is this figure, 3 years later in 2013, and they gave it a permanent closed mouth jaw piece where his mouth is permanently closed. And it also comes with an awesome blue LED light display that can permeate from his dorsal plates. And this is the figure that we're going to talk about. Of course, it got reissued again from Diamond Distributors, but it was the original Japanese release with the open mouth. You know, it didn't come with the alternate jaw piece like it came with the original Japanese release. And so this is the, you know, that's the third time that this figure got released. Now, I did get this figure when it first came out in 2013. I got it through an eBay auction. That was during the time where I was really new into X Plus collecting and the eBay stuff and stuff like that. And I really didn't expect to win this figure, quite frankly, because this was a Ric Exclusive, and you already know Ric Exclusive figures, they don't run a good amount of them. You know what I'm saying? There's like a limited quantity of them. So when I put in a bid for it, I really didn't expect to win. And that was back then during the time. Even now, if you do eBay auctions, if it's something you really want, sometimes you have to be on the site, on eBay, looking at that thing as it dwindles down, you know, to the very last minute. And sometimes what some people do, they'll see you make a bid, a high bid or whatever, and they may have a higher bid in store to try to snatch it up under you. So what they'll do is they'll wait until like maybe the last 60 seconds until the auction is over, and then they'll swoop in and snatch it up under you. So those 60 seconds, as well as those 30 seconds, the last 30 seconds of the auction, especially if it's something that you really want, is like the longest seconds that you would ever go through, because it's like you're waiting for somebody to come through. And I was expecting somebody to come through and take it, you know, from under me, because I wasn't prepared to go beyond the bid that I put in for it. And lo and behold, I was able to score this guy. And this was at a time, once again, like I said, I was new into X Plus. I really didn't understand the true value of these figures. Yeah, they look great or whatever, but I really didn't really understood the magnitude of this figure, and that it would go on to become one of the most sought after, elusive, just highly regarded as one of the best X Plus figures that they have ever done. Now, also, like a few months later, they announced that Diamond was going to be reissuing the 64, like I told you, the third release of the 64 from X Plus, but it was going to be released through Diamond, right? And I made a deal with another collector. He had another piece that I wanted to get in my collection. But the deal was he wanted to trade my 64 for that piece that we were going to trade, right? And I was thinking, you know what? Since I'm going to be getting the diamond in a couple months, I will just trade this guy off and get the piece, and then, you know, just get the diamond version. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing that out of all the three of the 64s, 30 centimeters a day I've ever done, not excluding the favorite sculptor's line version, this was really not worth trading. Quite frankly, I should have kept it in my collection. With all due respect to the guy that got it, and I love him, you know who you are. But looking back on it now, I should have kept it, quite frankly. But I was like, you know what? I'll just try and go after this guy like later on down the line. And ever since 2013, like I said, this has gone to become one of the most elusive, sought after, and expensive figures that you could ever find. You know what I'm saying? I have seen this guy go upwards to $500, $700, even $1,000. You know what I'm saying? Because it really is an awesome piece. Is it worth $1,000? That's up to your interpretation or determination. But for years and years and years, I tried to get my hands on it, and I came close a couple times to get my hands on it, but things fell through. So I kind of put it out of my mind that I would ever get my hands on this guy. Until recently, I was on Mandarake, and one just popped up there for a relatively fair price. You know, it was a little bit steep, but it was still a fair price I was willing to spend to get it. And here it is back in my collection. So Godzilla, I'm talking to you right now. You might as well get used to this room, because you are never leaving my side again. You are never leaving this room. You are never going away again. And that's pretty much the backstory with me getting this figure or reclaiming this figure. You know what I'm saying? This really is an awesome piece. And quite frankly, it's a piece that I think X Plus should really go back and try to reissue. Now, mind you, X Plus has reissued pretty much almost everything that they could reissue. You know what I'm saying? There are a few monsters out there they have not done yet. But this is one of them. This is one guy that they have not reissued, which makes this figure even that more scarce and more expensive. You know what I'm saying? So if he does pop up, you know what I'm saying, I think he's worth the investment. Like I said, I don't think he's worth $1,000. But I think maybe half that, especially if the figure's in good condition and blah, 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 then definitely go after it. You know what I'm saying? But that's pretty much it. That is it with the backstory with me. You know, having this figure at first, then trading it off, then spending a year trying to find it again. And now, after all these years, he's finally back in my collection. And I have to say, I agree with Richard Eso, Mr. Fresh Vinyl himself. He has said that this is the best X Plus figure of the 1964 Godzilla that they have ever done. Better than the Gigantic, better than the Favorite Sculptor's Line version, better than the Death for Real, better than the 25 centimeter version. You know what I'm saying? And I have to agree, this is, in my opinion, the quintessential 1964 Godzilla that you will ever find, courtesy of X Plus. And hopefully they can reissue this guy, that way more people can get their hands on it. But once again, this has been regarded as one of the, if not the best, X Plus figures, if not Ric Exclusive Edition figures from X Plus. And quite frankly, that statement could not be even that much more true. So you know I'm gonna do things around here. Let's get up close and personal with this awesome figure. Once again, welcome back to my collection, the X Plus 30 centimeter Godzilla 1964 Ric Exclusive Edition with the blue LED and the dorsal plates. So let's get up close and personal right now. Okay, folks, here we are up close and personal with the X Plus 30 centimeter Godzilla 1964 Ric Exclusive Edition with the blue LED dorsal plates, released in 2013. Once again, such an awesome and brilliant and just amazing sculpt of the Mothra Goji, or the 1964 Godzilla. And this sculpt is no different than the original Japanese release, as well as the Diamond reissue. Such an awesome sculpt. Now, the paint job is really, really, really amazing. I'm going to bring up, actually, the X Plus 30 centimeter Godzilla's 1962, the King Goji. And actually, I got the Ric Exclusive Edition of that figure, or the Ric Exclusive reissue that came up with light-up dorsal plates, that was released actually in the same year as this guy. This guy got released, like I mentioned earlier, was released in 2013 in June over the summer. And the 62 was released a few months later, like late October going into November. So I'm going to bring up that that figure for size comparisons and just comparisons in general, because there are some essence of the 62 that was taken and put into the 64 suit. More on that later. But yeah, the charcoal gray or darker black skin on Godzilla looks amazing. You know, it has some highlights of like dry brushing on his chest here, like a little dirty brown or whatever, signifying him coming out of the ground in Mothra vs. Godzilla. Quite frankly, in my opinion, the best entrance of Godzilla in all these films. He has had awesome entrances, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing about Godzilla that we love so much. When he appears or when he first comes into the story in a few of these films, they are awesome entrances. Whether he breaks out of the iceberg in 62, whether he approaches a Titanosaurus with that silhouette and that explosion illuminates him in terror of Mechagodzilla, where he comes out of the volcano in Biollante and Mothra 1992. You know what I'm saying? And this one is really no different. But out of all of them, this is my favorite entrance. But like I said, the dirty brown highlights on the abdomen here just creates a lot of depth and just exuberance into the figure. You know what I mean? The claws are extra sharp. You know what I'm saying? Just that's the one thing that I will praise this figure in comparison to the gigantic. Now I love the gigantic, and once again I mentioned earlier that this guy actually kind of trumps him as like the best 64. I'm sorry, gigantic, but you come in number 2 now. But look at the claws on Godzilla's hands. You know what I'm saying? The sharp, just menacing, just like how it was in the film. The posture here of Godzilla is just like how it was in the film. Anyway, with Nakajima portraying Godzilla as this imposing, just evil, malevolent force. And his hands with his claws is sharp, like he's ready to pounce on Mothra or destroy Nagoya or just destroy anything or everything that's in his path, excuse me. It's awesome. Once again, the paint job is awesome. The claws are extra sharp. I really do enjoy that. Now, the same color goes for the toes too. The toes have like a dirty brown white color, just like the claws. Once again, I got this off Mandarake. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Mandarake, Mandarake is a secondhand store that sells pretty much everything that you want to find as far as like Godzilla collectibles or just Japanese toy related in Japan. More often than not, there are secondhand, meaning that there are pre-owned figures or pre-owned collectibles. But for the most part, they do come in great shape. You may find like a minor scuff here and there, but by and large, all the pieces that I've gotten from Mandarake, and I've been buying from them for, you know, the past 3 or 4 years since I've been an X Plus collector, finding some rare gems. They have been really in great condition, and this guy is really no different. I don't see any imperfections on this figure. There's really no scuff marks anywhere. It's just like whoever who took care of this figure before they sold it off to Mandarake did a very good job of keeping this guy intact. Paint job is awesome. They did a good job taking care of this figure. And once again, as you can see right here, this is such a stunning representation of Godzilla. It really is. Of the 1964 Godzilla with that menacing look on his face. Now, I'll touch on the face last. Let's go with the dorsal plates. Now, once again, this does come with the light up feature on its dorsal plates. It comes with blue LED dorsal plates. So when you activate the feature, his dorsal plates light up blue, just like how it was in the film. You know what I'm saying? Now, since mine, like I said, was pre-owned and it was released in 2013, the light up effect does work, but it doesn't work to the fullest of its potential. You know what I mean? Like a couple of lights seem to be burnt out, but still a good majority of them do light up. So it's really no harm there, in my opinion. It is to be expected with a 7-year-old figure. Now, one thing I do love about LED dorsal plates, or at least translucent material on the dorsal plates, even if the light features doesn't work on these figures, and that happens, you know what I'm saying? It happens. Unfortunately, you know, it may take years for them to burn out. Sometimes they may burn out when you first get the figure. I've seen it happen time and time again. These figures are not perfect, you know, electronic-wise sometimes. It varies by the figure and it varies by the case. But I do enjoy that the translucent material, even if the light-up feature does not work, I like actually the translucent material or the translucent look of the dorsal plates, you know what I'm saying, versus the painted look on some of these figures. You know what I'm saying? It has a more organic look with the dorsal plates, even when the feature is not working or when you don't have the feature on. You know what I'm saying? So the dorsal plates with that translucent material, especially on this guy, especially on the 62, which you'll see in size comparisons later on, I just like the dorsal plates look of the translucent material on figures like this a little bit better than some of the painted dorsal plates on figures that are not translucent. You see what I'm saying? So the shapes of the dorsal plates looks awesome, just like I said, just like the dorsal plates on the actual suit. And once again, the blue dorsal plate just adds to that overall just awesomeness of this figure, and it shows why this figure is once again one of the most sought after and elusive figures that X Plus has ever done. If you on the hunt for this figure, all I can say is good luck. I happened to luck into mine, quite frankly. I happened to see it on Mandarake one morning, and this thing, when figures on Mandarake do pop up, sometimes, especially if you happen to see them when they're not, open, you know what I'm saying? Because, if you live in the United States, Japan is like 12 hours ahead of us. So if you wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and go on Mandarake, realize it's 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. over there, so the store is not open. And let's say you put in the order for a particular figure you see on Mandarake. They don't get back to you until like a day or two later. But by then, somebody may have snatched up the figure that you're wanting, you know what I'm saying? Of course, you put in an order for it, but it has like a little icon in the order form that says, look, cancel this order if it's sold out by the time we get back to you. You know what I'm saying? So after I ordered this guy, I'm hoping and praying that it's not, gone, you know what I'm saying? But I did get an email, the following day that, hey, it is in stock. If you want it, here's how much you need to pay for it, and we'll ship it out as soon as possible. And that's another great thing. You ain't got to have a Japanese address. They will ship it directly to your house, like Hobby Search does, like Hobby Link Japan does. You know what I'm saying? So that's another great thing. So please sign up on Mandarake. You can find yourself some great figures. And once again, they will actually send the package directly to your address or wherever you are, which is a good thing. Now, getting back to the figure, once again, dorsal plates look awesome. Like I said, even when the light feature does not work, just like I said, I love the translucent material and look on the dorsal plates, and gives it a more organic look. You know what I'm saying? The tail is long, whatever, and his point is all the way down to the tip where it's actually touching the ground, which actually gives him some stability. So for all those people out there that can't stand Godzilla figures that have tail stands, you're going to love this figure if you get your hands on it, as well as the original Japanese release or the diamond reissue. You know what I'm saying? I hope they go back to that. Because I have no problem with the tail stands, quite frankly. But this right here just eliminates that. And as you can see here, Godzilla is able to stand on his own with his tail, firmly on the ground on the tip, which gives him better stability. Now, let's go to the final piece. And I think the best thing about this figure, aside from the awesome sculpt, aside from the awesome paint scheme, the dorsal plates, blah, 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 the light feature or whatever, is his face. Look at that face. Now, when I first got this figure, once again, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't really appreciate these figures as much as I would have, later on in my days of collecting. I actually tried, I don't know why I tried to do this, because at the time, I actually preferred Godzilla figures when his mouth is open, when it's roaring. I didn't really appreciate Godzilla in situations where his mouth is closed. I've kind of turned myself around on that a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, I still prefer the roaring look, but every now and then I do like a figure where his mouth is closed. And this is one of the Godzilla designs that he actually looks more sinister and menacing with his mouth is closed. Of course, he looks ferocious when his mouth is open and you see his teeth, his sharp-like teeth just coming out everywhere, you know what I mean? But this is one of the few Godzilla designs that actually he looks a lot more menacing and intimidating, in my opinion, with his mouth closed. Look at the hooded eyes. Look at the pupils. He just looks so evil, so sinister. And also right here, you see the fangs popping out. Like you see a fang popping out on one side of his mouth, and then you see the other fang popping out on the other side of his mouth. That just adds to the overall sinister nature of Godzilla, of this figure, which is reminiscent of the suit in the film. Very few Godzillas can pull this off. You know what I'm saying? Where, his mouth is closed and his fangs still pop out. It gives him more of a sinister look. Or he looks more intimidating with his mouth closed anyway. A few come to mind, in my opinion. The GMK Godzilla has that going on. The 84 especially. If you want to go superhero Godzilla, I think the 75 Godzilla, he looks more menacing with his mouth closed. But I think out of all of them, the 64 is the one that looks the meanest and imposing and intimidating and just vicious looking with his mouth closed. But once again, X Plus has done a phenomenal job with the sculpt of the face, the hooded eyes, the pupils, the fangs popping out. Just an awesome, awesome representation of the 1964 Godzilla. So from head to tail, the head sculpt, the claws, the paint job, the toenails, the dorsal plates, the tail, everything about this figure, in my opinion, is top notch. In my opinion, the best X Plus figure of the 1964 Godzilla that you will ever find. Once again, if you're on the hunt for this guy, I mean, you heard my story earlier. It took me years to get my hands on this guy again. Years. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I let it go back in 2014 when I got my hands on the Diamond Reissue 64. So here we are, what, 6 years later? So yes, it took me 6 years. But as I always say in this hobby, when you want something so bad, it's not a question of if you get something, it's when. So you got to put in the legwork. You have to comb the sites on a regular basis. And in my opinion, and I'm living proof of this, that, you know, if you really want something really bad, just put the legwork in and you will get exactly what you want. Trust me when I say that, and this figure right here is living proof of that. So once again, such an awesome representation of the 1964 Godzilla, the best representation, the most perfect representation, the quintessential representation of the 1964 Godzilla, courtesy of X Plus. You can't get no better than this guy right here, the X Plus 30cm Ric Exclusive Edition reissue of the 1964 Godzilla. Yes, yes, yes. Let's do a few size comparisons. And you know what? Let's start off with the monster that he fought in this awesome film. The Thing, also known as Mothra. So let's bring up the X Plus 25cm Mothra 1964 figure for the first size comparison. So let's go to that size comparison right now. Okay, folks, this is the first size comparison, and alongside the X Plus 30cm 1964 Godzilla Ric Exclusive Edition with the blue dorsal plates, I have the monster that he fought in this awesome, iconic film of Mothra vs. Godzilla with the X Plus 25cm The Thing, also known as Mothra. Yes, 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 with the awesome egg base down at the bottom. And as you can see, these figures look so well together. They really do. Now, if you OCD, then you already know that Godzilla is a little bit bigger than what he should be in comparison to Mothra. You know what? That's the thing. When I heard about this film, now mind you, I first saw this film when I was, you know, getting started in my Godzilla fandom. Like I said, in many videos before this, the first Godzilla films that I ever saw was Godzilla vs. Megalon, the original 1954, or I should say King of the Monsters, King Kong vs. Godzilla, Monster Zero, Sea Monster, Mecha Godzilla 74, 1985 Godzilla. So when I found out about this film, now mind you, the only time I ever see Mothra and Godzilla fight was in Sea Monster. But then again, that fight is so brief that I really couldn't get a good size comparison between the two monsters. So in this film, when I finally saw this film and Godzilla and Mothra fight each other for the first time, I was a little bit taken aback that Mothra was so big in comparison to Godzilla, that Godzilla is the smaller of the monsters between the two monsters, but yet he's the main villain of the film. Of course, we will see that later on in other films like, you know, War of the Gargantuas and Biollante and blah, blah, blah. But I was still kind of taken back about the fact that Godzilla was, I wouldn't say too small, but he was so small in comparison to Mothra, but yet he was the main villain of the film. So, but still, with this size comparison right here, these monsters or these figures look so well together that, in my opinion, you shouldn't really care. Or maybe I'm just too biased to the film that I don't care anyway. Unless it's a size comparison where Godzilla is really, 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 really too big. Like if I were to use my gigantic, then yeah, that's kind of pushing it. But I think with the 30cm, you kind of can make it work. You see what I'm saying? You have Godzilla just towering over the edge, just menacing, about to pounce on it or crack it as he was going to do in the film. Then you have Mothra coming in, flying in to stop him and confront him. So I think this works. If you don't have the 25cm Godzilla from X Plus, because quite frankly, that is the most perfect version to put with this Mothra for size comparison accuracy. But I think with this 30cm, the closed mouth menacing version, I think you can pull it off. You know what I'm saying? I think it does work. These monsters look so well together. and it makes me want to watch the movie now. So that's pretty much it with the first size comparisons between these two iconic monsters that fought each other in this awesome film of Mothra vs. Godzilla. So let's bring up the next size comparison. You know what? I mentioned him earlier, so I'm going to come through with my promise. Let's bring up the Godzilla design that came before this awesome Godzilla design right here. And of course, I'm talking about the 1962 Godzilla, the King Goji, the X Plus 30cm Ric Exclusive edition of the King Goji. So let's bring up that size comparison right now. Okay, folks, this is the next size comparison, and yes, oh my God, this is such a great size comparison. If you thought the Mothra size comparison previously was awesome, this is even awesome in its own right. And yes, alongside the 1964 Godzilla, I have his 1962 counterpart. Yes. Both of these figures came out in 2013. Both of these figures are from X Plus, and both of these figures are Ric Exclusive reissues. They came up with light up dorsal plates. Of course, to the left, the 1962 King Goji, Godzilla, as well as the Man of the Hour to the right, the 1964 Godzilla, the Mosu Goji. And as you can see, they look so well together. Oh my God. And once again, that's one thing that I will appreciate the King Goji for. Now, I know I've been giving a lot of crap to the King Goji. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the King Goji. I love King Kong vs. Godzilla. It's a staple in my childhood, like I know it's a staple in a lot of folks' childhoods. I tend to crap on the 62 when people tend to crap on the 64 in favor of the 62. That's when I get defensive. You know what I'm saying? That's when I start to rag on the 62. But at the end of the day, I love the 62. I really do. He's iconic, he's awesome, and he is just amazing on so many different levels in terms of the suit as well as the figure here. And once again, one thing that I love about the 62, or at least the 64, if you notice the evolution of the suits. Now, in 62, he was big, he was bulky, and in some, angles, especially if you look at it from the front, he kind of looks very different. He doesn't look very menacing, you know what I mean? Like, Godzilla's look in King Kong vs. Godzilla is reflective of the tone of the film, where it was taken not too seriously, it was played up more for laughs, whatever, especially when he fights Kong. But when they decided to bring Godzilla back 2 years later in Mothra vs. Godzilla, look at the changes in the suit. You can see Godzilla's paint scheme got a little bit darker, a little bit more blackish. You know what I mean? They slimmed down the suit to tailor more of Haruo Nakajima's frame. You know what I'm saying? He's less bulky. He's more sleek in a way. And he just looks a lot more sinister. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I will give the 62 credit for, I do love the dorsal plate. So I love how they were able to change pretty much everything from the 62 to the 64, but the one thing they did keep was the dorsal plate arrangement. You know what I'm saying? Because I love the King Goji's dorsal plates, and the fact that they brought them back for the 64 suit, I really do enjoy that. But as you can see, look at these two figures, and just think about the movies that these figures, at least the suits, were involved in. You know what I'm saying? The playful, less serious of the King Goji from King Kong vs. Godzilla, with the super serious, also more darker version of Godzilla in Mothra vs. Godzilla. And I think these suits work for the particular film that they were in. Like, I don't think the suit of the 64 would have worked in King Kong vs. Godzilla with the lighthearted tone, especially with the way Godzilla looked. Now, they will make more so of a playful tone in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, but by then they already changed Godzilla's appearance, at least at least in his face, where he doesn't come across so sinister. You know what I mean? And I think it also works in the other direction. Like, I don't think the King Goji suit would have worked in Mothra vs. Godzilla. I don't think it would have worked. It wouldn't have, that look of Godzilla wouldn't have done so well with the more serious and more frightful interpretation of Godzilla in that film. So I think the suits work for their respective films, and that's why these movies, quite arguably, are the most popular Godzilla films ever in the franchise, especially in the Showa era. Back-to-back awesome films with King Kong vs. Godzilla and Mothra vs. Godzilla. And the fact that these two figures came out in the year of 2013, just a few months away from each other, apart from each other, shows that X Plus was firing on all cylinders here. And they would definitely continue that trend, which we have seen continue to this day. You know what I'm saying? And it makes you wonder, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of figures came out that year. Actually, another figure that I was able to score from Mothra Rocket, which will be the next review, and it's going to be on the tail end of this review, a preview of it, so stay tuned to the very end. But another figure came out that year that was awesome for the Showa era. That was the same year where we saw the release of the first ever gigantic series figure with the GMK. The 30cm 1999 Godzilla and the 1999 Gamma came out. So 2013 was such an awesome year, and I can honestly say that these two figures right here were definitely the highlights of that year. It's only a shame that I got them both, but I let one go. But you know what? I was able to redeem myself, and now the 64 is back in my collection, back in the Monster Island man cave where he belongs. Where at the time of this recording, he is in fact my favorite X Plus figure out of all of them. Once again, no offense to Guy again, the gigantic burning Godzilla, the gigantic 54, the gigantic 2019, Shin, the 62. The King Ghidorahs. Right now, the 1964 Godzilla, this figure right here, that guy right there, is my most favorite X Plus figure, or my favorite figure. Well, he's not my favorite 64, but more on that later. But yeah, that is right there is my most favorite X Plus figure of all time in my collection. And if you're able to find one for a good price, please go after this figure. As well as the King Godzilla, he's awesome too. That guy right there, he's awesome too. Go after them. Go after both of them. They're worth the investment. Trust me when I say that. Yes, yes, yes. So that's it with the second size comparison. So let's go with the last size comparison. And I'm going to bring up all the 1964 Godzillas I have in my collection, courtesy of X Plus, courtesy of M1. So let's bring out all the 64s together for the first time in God knows how long. And let's bring up that size comparison between all my 64s right now. Okay, folks, this is the last size comparison, and as I promised, here is all of the 1964 Godzillas I have in my collection. And as you can see, yeah, I'm kind of a fan. Just a little bit, just a little bit. Of course, we have the two big guys in the background. Of course, the one to the right, you've seen him on many occasions. The M1 50cm rubber kit of the 1964 Godzilla. To his left, I have the X Plus Gigantic Series version, the Ric Exclusive Edition. Of course, down to the left of the Gigantic Series, I have the original, or down reissue, I should say, of the 1964 Godzilla. The Man in the Hour is in the middle. Of course, to the right, I have the Favorite Sculptors Line 64. Right to his right, I have the original standard edition of the X Plus 25cm version of the 64. Down at the bottom is the cute little Death for Real 64. And to his left, or right, I should say, whatever, I have the 1964B 25cm X Plus figure of Godzilla. And as you can see, these figures look so well together. The full roster of 64s in my collection are here in front of you right now. And once again, aside from the M1, let's take him out of the equation, okay? I will have to say, and I said this many times before, X Plus has done really a good job with the 64. Of course, they have like 6 lines, or seven or 6 lines, or whatever, as far as X Plus. And every single one of them that they have done, as far as the 64 is concerned, I consider to be a great, 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 great figure. Now, mind you, a couple of them may not be as on par as a couple of other ones, but I have to say, I don't consider any 64 that X Plus has ever done a dud. You know what I'm saying? I can't say the same with the 62. Like the gigantic King Godzilla is awesome. The original 30cm is awesome. The Favorite Sculptors Line versions, both of them, even though I'm not too high up on them, and I love them, don't get me wrong, but there's still something a little bit missing about them, about those versions. They're still awesome. The Death for Real is awesome too, but I think the original 25cm 62 is kind of lacking. The same thing with the Burning Godzilla. I think the Gigantic is amazing. The 30cm is amazing. The Sakai is off the chain amazing. But the 25cm, not so much. But I think as far as the 64, like I said, there are a couple that may not be up to par as other 64s, but I don't consider a 64 from X Plus that they have done a dud. Now, the only thing that we are missing is a Sakai 64, and you gotta know that it's coming at some point. You know what I mean? But as I mentioned earlier, with all due respect to the X Plus Gigantic Series version, I have to say, with this guy back in my collection, the 30cm blue LED dorsal plate one. He is currently my favorite X Plus figure of all time, and he is my favorite 64 from X Plus of all time. Now, if you recall a few months back, particularly in my favorite sculptors line, King Goji X Plus figure review, the version 2, the walk-in pose one. If you saw the very end of that video, I had a preview of a 1964 Godzilla video showcase that I was going to do for Godzilla's birthday at the time, or his upcoming birthday at the time, but I never gotten around to doing that. So, take a good look at this image right here, ladies and gentlemen, because later on, maybe in like a month or so, I will get to that video. So yes, a 1964 Godzilla showcase is on its way. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a reminder, at least I'm going to show that preview again before I go to my final thoughts of this video. You know, so that'll be coming up real soon. But as you can see, the gigantic series version, the 30 centimeters, the 25s, the favorite sculptors line, the Death for Real, they have done a marvelous job, X Plus I'm talking about, with what they have done with the 64. Of course, you got to give credit to the M1 too. That is an awesome figure too. Now, at the present time, the M1 is my favorite 64 of all time. Does this new 64 that I have here trump that one? You have to wait until the Godzilla's 1964 showcase, and I'll answer that question then. But yeah, this is the last size comparison, and yeah, this is an awesome sight. All the Mothra Gojis I have in my collection, from the M1 to the gigantic X Plus to the 30cm X Plus, Death for Real favorite sculptors line, 25cm. As you can see, I am well represented with 64s in my collection. You gotta love the 64. You gotta love the 64. Alright, so that's pretty much it with all the size comparisons. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to show you that preview once again of the 1964 Godzilla showcase I got coming down the line. And after that preview is done, I will come back with my final thoughts of this awesome figure of the X Plus 30cm Godzilla 1964 Ric Exclusive Edition with the blue LED dorsal plates. So let's go with the Godzilla 1964 showcase preview right now.
Emergency! Emergency! Just a few moments ago, Godzilla appeared at Colorado Beach. Emergency! Godzilla is approaching this district. You are advised to leave the danger area immediately. Emergency! Emergency! Godzilla is approaching.
Okay, folks, I'm back with my final thoughts of the X Plus 30cm 1964 Godzilla Ric Exclusive Edition with the blue LED dorsal plates. Once again, a solid figure. An awesome release. Yes, it is. For a figure that is almost 7 years old, as I mentioned earlier, it still has everything that it had when it first came out all those many years ago. And once again, I'm so glad to have it back in my collection after finally finding it after all these many years of searching. Now, before I go, I did want to touch on Mothra just a little bit more before we go. Once again, for this being my first basically box day of 2020, this really is a great note to start out on in 2020. And at the time of this recording, I got another rare piece from 2013, and I think I mentioned that earlier in the video, but you have to wait until the tail end of this video to find out what that other rare gem was, and that will be the next review coming real soon. So the fact that I was able to score not one but two awesome rare gems from X Plus, you know what I'm saying, to me that's like a really collecting milestone, because ever since X Plus came out back in the day, you know what I'm saying, X Plus figure releases, you know, when I first started collecting, they will have like great hits, but it will happen too far in between. You know what I'm saying? Where you have like a great figure release come out like in maybe January, and then another one may not come out until like around March or April. You know what I'm saying? Ever since then, the S Plus has had to step it up their game where pretty much you pre-ordering a figure almost every month of the year. But back then it wasn't like that, you know? And now S Plus has basically exploded all over the place where you can relatively easy get these figures from a lot of different resources, from a lot of different vendors. I think sometimes it's the thrill of the hunt of trying to find these precious rare figures that you don't really see anymore. I think the thrill of that is gone, but I'm living proof. This right here, this acquisition is living proof that they are out there. There are rare items out there that's on your wish list. Trust me, they are out there. You just have to, put in the legwork, put in the work to try and find them and stuff like that. And once again, I'm living proof. It's not a question of if you get something, it's when you get something. And the fact I was able to score 2 rare gems pretty much at the same time really is, in my opinion, a collecting milestone. And I think Mothra is the best place to find these gems for great prices. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some that do pop up on eBay, but let's face it, the eBay prices are horrendously overpriced. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are taking advantage of people's ignorance or lack of knowledge of what these figures are really worth. So they jack up the prices on these figures. We've seen it time and time again. So I also have advocated that even if a price is still too steep, sometimes you may have to pass on it, and then you may still find that same figure down the line at a more affordable price. You know what I'm saying? That's a judgment call on your part. But I think between all these resources that are out there, Mothra is your best option of finding these awesome, great gems. Now, mind you, these gems don't pop up there every single day, but every now and then they do pop up, and there are living proof that these figures are out there and they will become for sale for great prices. Once again, sometimes you have to be there at the right place at the right time. But these figures are out there. These rare gems are out there waiting to get into your collections. So aside from eBay, once again, I look at eBay as your last resort. Maybe try Buyee if you can find like a middleman to help you through the Japanese websites or navigate through the Buyee site. But I think Mothra is pretty much your best option. And once again, the best thing about Mothra, you just go on their website, you can pipe in your information, and once you get that item, they will ship it directly to you. They don't ship it to Tenso. They don't ship it to a middleman warehouse. They will ship it directly to you. The caveat of that is, once again, realize that these figures are pretty much it's a secondhand store and they're pre-owned. So more often than not, you will get a pre-owned figure. They may sell some new stuff, whatever, but majority of the figures that come out of Mothra are second owned or pre-owned, I should say. And of all the years I've been dealing with Mothra, I have not had one bad experience with their customer service or with the figures that they have sent to me. All the figures that they have sent to me have been in top-notch, excellent condition. Of course, it may be a scuff on a toenail here and there, but by and large, for the most part, I have gotten great customer service and great figures from that website, and the prices are even awesome. So all those horrendous prices that you see on eBay, you don't have to worry about that on Mothra. There may be a couple that happen every now and then, but that's very rare. But to find these rare figures like this for great affordable prices, I highly recommend you go on mothra.com, pipe in your information, and then just scour the site. And you never know, you may come across a figure like this. And that's the beauty of having figures like this 64, for example. And once again, I mentioned earlier that X Plus has pretty much reissued everything under the sun, one way or another. But this is one guy they have not touched, which kind of makes it even that much more special to have this guy, because there are so many, there's so limited few quantities of this figure out there. So it makes me feel like I have a rare gem that a lot of people don't really have. But if X Plus was to go back to this figure, and I highly recommend X Plus does that with the blue dorsal plates, I'm sure it will make a lot of folks happy. Either way, I will still be happy to finally have this guy back in my collection. So once again, Godzilla, pay a close attention to this room, because once again, you are never going away again. I let you go one time, but trust me, that is never happening again. Yes, yes, yes. This guy is so awesome, ladies and gentlemen. If you could find one for a good price on Mondo Rocket or whatever, as long as the price is not too steep, don't hesitate to get your hands on this awesome figure. Trust me when I say that. Yes, yes, yes. So that pretty much concludes my review of the X Plus 30cm 1964 Godzilla, the Mosu Goji, the Ric Exclusive edition with the blue LED dorsal plates, coming from my most favorite Godzilla film of all time, probably the most iconic Godzilla film of all time, 1964's Godzilla vs. Thing, better known as Mothra versus Godzilla. Yes, yes, yes. You have any questions, holler me down in the comment section. Or hit me on Facebook via Leslie P. Chambers. We'll definitely go from there. Yes, once again, oh my God, I'm so happy right now. I really am. To have this guy back in my collection along with the other gem that I scored. Once again, stay tuned to the very end of the video to see what that gem is. Wow, I'm just starting off the year on a great note. Shout out to Jeremy Souls and Summit Kaiju. Once again, I'm so happy to be a part of the network and promote the brand and being out there and stuff like that. Also, I'm also glad to be a part of Collect All Monsters. Yes, I'm part of this new monthly live stream show courtesy of the Kaiju Cast, where myself, Christine Chapin, Kyle Yount, David Erdopko, and John Ruffin get together once a month and talk about our favorite Kaiju pieces. And don't be surprised if you see this guy and some other pieces on the show for the foreseeable future. So thank you for everybody for actually, coming to the shows, chatting in the chat room, really being a highly supportive group for the show, you know what I'm saying? And I hope y'all been entertained with what we have given y'all thus far, and trust me, more fun moments to come on that awesome show for Collect All Monsters. So once again, thank you so much to Summit Kaiju. Thank you to Collect All Monsters. Thank you for the supporters of both of those brands. And once again, thank you so much for the support on Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews. And guess what? At the time of this recording, it is January 24th, 2020. And we are seven subscribers away from us reaching the 2,000 subscriber mark. Yes, 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 2,000. I would have never thought, but I started this channel back late in 2013, that I would reach 2,000 subscribers. Now, I know that may be minuscule to people that have millions upon millions of subscribers, but every single one of those 2,000 subscribers that I hope to get, even the subscribers that I have now, every single one of you, I really do appreciate you for what you've done for me, the support, the kind words, even the kind criticism, everything that you have done for me, from watching my videos, sharing my videos, asking me for advice, or just asking me for my opinion, or just enjoying whatever I put out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and I will repay y'all, but once again, with so much great content coming for the foreseeable future, along with the rare gem of the review that I talked about earlier, I still got to do the 1956 25cm Rodan, the 25cm double review of the Godzilla 2000, and Orga, Baragon, yes, I'm getting a Baragon, along with Collect All Monsters that you'll see me on that show. I'm planning on reigniting my live stream discussions here on this channel. I have a few ideas I want to get off the ground as far as that's concerned. So look a lot for me in 2020. I have so much ideas. I got so much planned, and I hope you will enjoy the ride with me here on Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews, as well as Summit Kaiju, and as well as Collect All Monsters. Yes, yes, yes. So I thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see y'all again on our next Figure Move review. All right? Y'all take it easy. Welcome back, Godzilla.